champions for the very first time. Some good respect between he and Maliko Alabi-Bellu. They were dueling all evening long. An absolute joy to watch those two go head-to-head. Warshawski being told that Oliver Platt would like a word. We will hear from them momentarily. In the meantime, I'll look at the numbers after 90. 1-0, of course, the final score. Cavalry beating Forge. The expected goals at 1.62 for the men in white and green, 1.17 for Forge on 16 shots attempted, 5 shots on target apiece, and 63% possession in the end. Let's go pitch side. Oliver Platt joined by Tobias Warshawski.
Tobias, that was an emotional game, a physical game at times. How does it feel to come out on the right side of it?
Yeah, great. Second half especially was just fighting, defending the 1-0, and I think we did it at the end. Everybody defended, and we won the game.
Walk us through that goal. It's a long ball from Marco Carducci, and it looked like you only had one thing on your minds there. Yeah,
I knew like the ball is long. I saw Methuselah, I think we won in a battle, and I was thinking I can get there earlier, and luckily I get earlier there and scored the goal.
Tell me a bit more about that physical battle, because even before the goal it seemed like you were winning a lot of duels and having some success against some very good defenders.
Yeah, I know my qualities as well, and I'm not scared of them, and I have respect, but yeah, today I put a show a little bit, you know, in the first half especially, but second half, yeah, we just defended as a team, and credit to the team that we won the game.
You certainly did. Now back to Calgary for the CPL final in 2 weeks' time. How special is it going to be to play in front of your fans for a trophy?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited. We have I think 2 weeks right now to prepare, and just happy, and yeah. Sorry.
Congratulations, Tobias. Well played today.
Yeah, thank you, boss. Appreciate it.
Well done.
Thank you, Ollie. Thank you, Toby. Listen, you're always forgiven for losing the words in your second language after putting in a shift like that. Let's take a look at the bracket. We're down to just 3 teams. Next Saturday, or this upcoming Saturday, I should say, at Tim Hortons Field, it's Forge and Atletico Ottawa from 4 p.m. Eastern Time to determine who will be joining Cavalry on November the 9th on Adco Field at Spruce Meadows, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, the kickoff of the 2024 Canadian Premier League Final. And Forge running out of time to turn things around. They have lost 3 matches in a row and are down to their final strike. That's it for us in Hamilton. Congratulations to our CPL finalist Cavalry. Destination Calgary for the 2024 CPL Final as Cavalry wins by a 1-0.
This isn't your first time flying to show support for your team, but it is the first time you use the wrong kind of paint.
It says here you could try mayonnaise.
WestJet, where your story takes off.
Tony Bet. At Tony Bet, get treated like a VIP. Bet on live games with odds on all sorts of sports. That's what you get when you bet with Tony Bet.
Oh, Carol! Always the earliest holiday shopper.
It's Holly. Uh-oh.
You know who's gonna win?
Holly.
Carol.
What?
Carol.
No, Holly.
Get out of here.
Degree, 72-hour non-stop protection. Antiperspirant with motion sense. Tested to the limit. Degree, keeps working when others stop.
What makes a Burnbrae egg a Burnbrae egg? For generations, we've put more goodness in, so you get a whole lot more out of every single delicious egg. A lot goes into a little at Burnbrae Farms.
This ultimate mouthwatering moment is brought to you by the big, bold, ultimate taste of Ultimate Chicken Hot Dogs, only from Maple Lodge Farms.
This isn't your first time flying to show support for your team, but it is the first time you use the wrong kind of paint.
It says here you could try mayonnaise.
WestJet, where your story takes off.
It really was a super Sunday in the Canadian Premier League playoffs, and Cavalry, they're on a roll right now, and they're going to host a Canadian Premier League final. They went into Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, Ontario, and beat Forge for the first time in their last 9 visits. 1-0 the final. Tobias Warszewski, the Golden Boot winner, was your match winner in this one today. That was the second of 2. Atletico Ottawa defeated York United in penalties to set up the game that's going to be up for grabs next week. It's going to be Forge hosting Atletico Ottawa to see who will go on to face Cavalry in the Canadian Premier League final. Gareth Wheeler, Jordan Wilson, Jimmy Brennan with you for the next hour to break it all down. We'll also spin you around the world that is Canadian football these days. Let's start off with what the playoffs have and how they played out thus far. It was Wednesday night. York United beat Pacific 2-0. That moved them forward to the game this afternoon, the 3-4 game, and it was dramatic. Gimo with the goal in time added on. It went to extra time. Atletico Ottawa earned a penalty 9 seconds in to the first extra time frame. It was Del Campo that scored. Mo Babuli responded. For the first time in Canadian Premier League history, the match went to penalties, and Atletico Ottawa, 5 really well-taken penalties. Nate Ingham saved Mo Babuli, and Atletico Ottawa move on. York United move out, and Tobias Warszewski's goal in the 27th minute, good enough for Cavalry to move on. So here is what the up-to-date CPL playoff bracket looks like next weekend, 4 p.m., November 2nd, back at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. It's Forge and Atletico Ottawa. The winner of that will move on. November 9th, the game will be played on One Soccer in CBC. 3 p.m. Eastern Time. It's Cavalry hosting. The first time they'll be hosting a Canadian Premier League final since 2019. Let's walk you through the highlights of Forge and Cavalry here today. It was a wide open game, plenty of chances going both ways in the first half. Cavalry just a little bit more effective here on the day. Forge pressed early and often. Kyle Becker going off the post.
Yeah, it's a big chance here. I think the theme of the day for Forge was just quality crosses, but they just lacked that final piece, that little bit, whether it be from a number 9 or just a player being a bit brave and having composure in front of goal. But you see here, this big chance from Montgomery. Hajabapur, he deserved all the credit for that one because Kaladat was beaten on the back post there and just knows and recognizes the danger and steps in.
This came off an injury to Jay Herdman. There was a long delay in the first touch of the ball over the top. Carducci to Tobias Warszewski through the goalkeeper. Well done by the striker, Jimmy, but should the goalkeeper do better here?
No, I think it's too far out for him to come. So I think he's got to wait for that bounce. I mean, their line was high, but I think the defenders could have dropped off a little bit and then maybe taken care of that, which allowed the striker to come in, use his body and get around the keeper and knock it home. But you know, to get beat with one direct ball over top is not good enough, is it?
No, it's not. And Warszewski wasn't touched. And you see here, Forge just trying to salvage and get back. But again, it falls perfectly to Ampoma. You see Olabi Belarus with the bike that ends up hitting Carducci. But this was Forge's theme, right? They were pressing and going forward and trying to get numbers in the right area, but just didn't have that final piece, Wheels.
No, I just wonder how much not having a number 9 matters. Alessandro Hajabapur with a big block the one way. The chance perhaps could have done better. Jay Herdman, I mean, this could have been put on ice right here. He ended up coming off in the 70th minute. I mean, Herdman's addition to this team has been huge. The game kind of opened up going forward, but it just seemed like a day where Cavalry were in control of virtually every process that played out, Jimmy. Dan Klomp coming close, coming near post.
Yeah, look, I thought Klomp was absolutely brilliant tonight. He stopped everything. Again, look, Forge had a few chances, couldn't capitalize on them. In the wide areas that we're getting into great areas of movements, rotations. But again, it was the movement in the middle of the box for me where I felt it let them down a little bit. And then when the crosses were coming in, there wasn't enough quality at times where Carducci's just picking up or Klomp's clearing them. I thought they had to be a little bit more precise in that final third. They did get into those areas, but it was that last ball or that last cross that let them.
We'll address Forge in a moment, but I think it's worthwhile having a discussion about Cavalry, about how they've turned around their season. Remember, they finished second place on 48 points, just 2 points back of Forge, and this team only lost 4 games all season. The problem earlier in the season was just finishing off games. It was draw, 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 draw. Now they've only lost 1 in their last 15. Should we have given them more credit or consider them more of an equal to Forge entering the game today?
Quickly, I just mentioned pre-game before that Cavalry are giving what they need to in every moment of the matches now. You've seen it in the season. When they've been up a goal, they know exactly how much to give, how to waste time, how to just really absorb that pressure. And you saw that today against Forge. I think they did that for the majority of the match.
No, I agree. I think you've seen Cavalry really improve over the last number of games. Yep. I mean, there was a spell throughout the season we're going, it's just not clicking. On paper, fantastic team. And it took a little bit of time. And eventually, I mean, I spoke with Tommy the other night, and he said it took us some time, but we're at where we need to be right now. And you can see that tonight in their performance. And I thought his substitutions were very good as well.
Yeah, this team is rolling at the right time of the year. When it comes to playoff football, typically they prioritize a regular season, but based on the way that things played out, this is go time for Cavalry, and so far, so good. Let's go back to Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton and visit Oliver Platt pitch side with Tommy Wheeldon Jr.
Tommy, I'm sure you'll tell me job's not done yet, but how good does that feel to take the final back to Calgary?
Yeah, one step closer. I think the lads were magnificent and disciplined today, and you have to be. Forge are a special side, right? I always say about league table never lies, and we knew coming here it was going to be tough. They'll move the ball well, they'll stretch out, they'll wait for you to bite, but we were disciplined. I thought tactically the boys were outstanding and created some good opportunities from a great defensive footprint.
It seems like you started the game very positively, had more chances than just a goal. What did you like about that first half in particular?
Well, when you got Toby, Moosey, Serge in the team, you know you're going to create some. And young Jay Erdman was gutted with his miss at the end, but we knew that in the numbers of bodies they put forward, they also leave opportunities the other way. I thought Toby, and especially first half, he was outstanding and got us up the pitch very, very well. And yeah, like I said, it was a very tough performance from us, and it needed to be.
Let's talk about Tobias, because like you said, in the first half, he seems to be winning every duel. What can you say about his form right now?
Yeah, he's unplayable, isn't he? And credit to Marco, he saw an opportunity. And again, when you look at video, you wonder how much these lads digest when the rubber hits the road, and they did. And I said they executed very well, kept a clean sheet here, which is very tough to do. And I said one step closer, because this one's for our fans. You know, we didn't play at home in CONCACAF, and we wanted to bring a special moment back to them. So hopefully we can pack Atco Field and make it a really good place in a couple of weeks.
Marco as well, I think, deserves a mention. Some key saves at key times, and I don't know if you've been asking for assists, but he adds one of those as well.
Yeah, you say your big players play well in the big moments, and you know he was great at coming for crosses. Knew that they've scored on him here a year ago, and today he was just brilliant with his decision making and his execution of his passes. So I'm delighted for the lad.
2 weeks now to prepare, and you play for a trophy at Atco Field in front of your home supporters. How special an occasion is that going to be for this club?
Oh, massively. I mean, last time we were able to play a final was back in 2019 at home. It's been a long time coming. We haven't started this season well. We've had a lot of trials and tribulations, but the character of this group, I don't think I've worked with one as resilient and as tough and as connected as this one. And I think it'll be a special moment. Like I said, this one's for the fans, because they've been with us through thick and thin. They weren't with us on the CONCACAF journey en masse. Now I want to pack it, because this one's for them.
Just lastly, Tommy, we know that obviously the history between these two clubs in playoff football. Is there a bit of a mental breakthrough today, getting that result over Forge at this stage of the season?
Yeah, like we talked about the last dragon to slay. Every place we went this year, you know, whether it be BC Place, you know, Ottawa away when they were first, York away when they were first, and the only one we hadn't beat on theirs in a big game like this was Forge. So yeah, that's one more out of the way. But look, I think it's going to be a terrific game between them and Ottawa. So you can't hatch your eggs until they've cracked, right?
Thank you, Tommy. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks a lot.
Great stuff with Oliver Platt, and as always, Tommy Wheeldon Jr., who's all business right now. And I like how he said it's for the fans, Jimmy, because, yeah, they missed out on a big opportunity not being able to host those CONCACAF Champions Cup games. But it seems like the club is ready for this moment. There's been a professionalism, a focus this season. I mean, last year entering the final, when Tommy came out and said it was like a bonus, you know, they'd won the regular season, they were so good, but now I just think that the focus is really there with this group, and now having home field advantage, how crucial can that be in 2 weeks' time?
It's huge, and he's right. I mean, the fans play a huge role with the club. They're that 12th man, they get behind you, they motivate you, and sometimes you got to reward them back for all that they've gone through. And to bring a final back to Calgary, it's what they want, and you can see the delight on his face. I mean, for me, you can see this team right now. They do have a swagger about them. They've got a confidence, the way that they're playing football, the way that they dealt with this game tactically, I thought was absolutely brilliant. The substitutions, I thought, were very good, and they deserved it. They deserved to have this home field advantage and playing at home and having a championship.
Jordan, they only lost one game on the regular season at home. They drew 8, but it just shows you how tough they're going to be to beat on home field.
Yeah, and then starting with the Canadian Premier League, when you play at Spruce Meadows, they have one of the best, if not the best, record at home. Like this team, when you go to play there, even playing as a fan, Jim, you know, when you coach me at York United as well, it's different when you go there. Spruce Meadows, grass pitch, the fans all around as well, the way that they're close and can able to get to you. I think whether it be Forge or Atletico Ottawa, it's going to be a tough test. And for Calgary, they know that they have their fans behind you. They know they have that home field advantage. This is going to be a great final.
Yeah, you just got to think that maybe if Cavalry hosted the final last year, would have been enough to get them over the line. They took the lead, obviously gave up 2 goals in extra time, and the trophy was taken away from them. By the way, Warshevsky, 6 goals in his last 4 games, and is an absolute beast right now.
On fire.
Let's go to the other side of the coin. Let's go back to Tim Hortons Field. It's Oliver Platt with Forge's Bobby Smirniotis.
Bobby, that was close right until the end. Where do you think it was won and lost in the end?
It's always the finer details. You know, we've created a lot of good chances, especially in that second half. Maybe a few centimeters one way, another way. We've got one, and you know, we've let a soft goal in the first half. And you know, those are the tough things because in these games, you know, you see after that they're waiting for the counterattack, rightly so. But excellent reaction from our guys, and you know what I always say is the path to glory is not always linear. You know, it's not only always going to be one route, and now we go the different way with the game next week here.
In terms of taking your chances, are you still just waiting for someone to grab that number 9 jersey after Kwesi's departure?
Yeah, no, because since Kwesi's departure, I think the team has been 7-2-1, and we've scored a lot of goals. So it's easy to look at that. Do you want players like that in this game? Yeah, but we've got quality players on the pitch. I think the opportunities are there. It's just, you know, on another day, maybe one of them is in the back of the net, and it's a little bit different. But those are the fine margins of the game. Those are the fine margins of playoff football.
You've got an experienced group in there. How do you reset now for Ottawa next weekend?
Yeah, that's it. You can only do one thing and reset. You know, we've got another game here at home, and we go that way. You know, it's like I said before, it's not linear. It's not always going to be one way. So here we got a little bit of a challenge in front of us. Challenge accepted, as they say.
Thank you, Bobby. See you next weekend.
Thank you.
Little bit of a Mortal Kombat reference there.
Seems calm.
Challenge accepted. Look, there's no doubt about it. Forge aren't in great form. They win the Canadian Premier League Shield. They lose at home to Atletico Ottawa. They lose in a game they didn't really care about last week. But then they lose here today in a game that absolutely mattered. And for the first time in club history, they've gone on and lost 3 games in a row. This is playoff time now. This is when you want to be hitting your stride. You heard Oliver Platt asking Bobby Smirniotis about the number 9 position. I think it's a big problem for this team. The fact that they don't have a number 9 that they can trust right now, equally disappointing for Forge, is that their left back, Daniel Parra, remains out. Now, if they do make the final, he will be back available, but they need to get past Atletico Ottawa first. What's the bigger issue? Is it left back or is it number 9 right now?
I don't think left back's a big issue. I think, as you said, you win the next game, you have a Parra in the finals, who I think is better going forward. But Olabi Belawu can lock down whoever's on the right side going at them next week against Atletico Ottawa. But also is just a top player. I think the bigger issue is at that number 9 because I think Bobby Smirniotis and Forge played their card. They played Ampoma because maybe you don't have as much trust in Hamilton right now. And who else can you play at that number 9 position?
Campbell's on the bench.
I mean, how fit is he because he hasn't played this season? These are question marks that you can ask, but they play Saturday. You have 6 games. Jim, you know, play the game, also manage. You don't just go on Monday and be like, okay, I'm going to switch things up. You go by what you've been seeing for the past 2 months. And right now, when you look at Forge, the players that came on the pitch today are the players that Bobby Smirniotis knows and trusts. I'm sure he can find a different solution, but in terms of clientele, these are the players.
Yeah, I think that number 9, that's the issue that they're having right now. I mean, Mpoma up top tonight for me, it was an easy match for Klomp and Montgomery. I don't think he made those runs in behind. I think he's got to be a little bit more clever to find those little spaces and pockets, because the last thing you want to do is have a physical battle against Klomp and Montgomery. And that number 9 position is what they're missing right now. Para, for me, one of the best left backs in the league. I like him because when he drifts inside, tactically, he can overload the middle when he gets on that ball, and it changes the way that they play, big time. Bellewu tonight I thought was very good, and he's good, but he's not coming inside to overload and
you miss him in the attack. It changes the way that they attack.
Para likes to get forward. He creates opportunities, and you miss him big time. So if they did have that number 9 and you had Para, I think it's a different ball game altogether.
What's surprised? You're chasing a goal. You bring off Tristan Borges in the 63rd minute. Weird one for me. I know in some people's eyes he was the MVP of the Canadian Premier League on the season. So not a great day for Forge. They're going to be playing next Saturday. Cavalry will be hosting the Canadian Premier League final November 9th, 3 p.m. Eastern time. That's 1 p.m. local time, live on One Soccer and CBC. TBD who they will be playing, but we know who's still alive, who still has a chance. That is Atletico Ottawa. They hosted York United in a rivalry game. There was a war of words in the build-up to it. Ottawa, over the years, have really struggled playing York United. And the first half, I mean, it was a slow burn. Let's put it that way. The second half, things came to life. And another Olympico for Ottawa and another Olympico for Ollie Bassett. The goalkeeper has to do better in a situation like that, Jim Brennan.
Oh, I think there was a number of problems there with Leon not opening up, more Babuli coming off the post. It made it difficult for the keeper.
We'll break it down. Yeah, we'll continue to break that down in a few. A handball shout there. Came off Apariso's back and arm. That's a subjective one for the referee. She didn't give this. A moment of controversy here as Osvaldo Leon pulled up lame. He did his hamstring. This is about 10 minutes to go in the game. Ruben Del Campo comes through the player. The player stopped. He's called for the foul. So the play continues on. It was just wild there. Actually, this is going to be the extra time goal. Shola Jimo scored in added time. This is in extra time, already 1-1. And 9 seconds into the extra time frame, Elijah Atakubi fouls Sam Salter. It's Ruben Del Campo stepping up with the finish, makes it 2-1 just seconds into the extra time frame. We'll try to get you the Jimo goal, by the way. It was such a big one, scored in the 94th minute. But it was Mo Babuli responding. This one back and forth in extra time. York United was playing without it was Niall Higgins, but they took off Stirring. Leon came off through injury. It was wide open. Mo Babuli, back-to-back games, back-to-back playoff goals. And for the first time, because of this goal, this game went to a penalty shootout. The first time in Canadian Premier League history, a game would be decided by a penalty shootout. Ottawa pressed in added time. Amir Didic off the bar. Just beat the goalkeeper, Max Ferrari, on ice and just couldn't beat the crossbar. As I said, it went to pens. Second shooter was Mo Babuli. Nate Ingham with the save. I just look at where his feet were. Was he off the line? Like, he's off the line here. Like, the assistant referee is right there. Surprised it wasn't retaken. Maybe some complaints will be made by York United. No complaints in terms of the quality of penalties by Ottawa. They were fantastic. Iliadis with the 5th and final to punch Ottawa's ticket into next weekend's game against Forge at Tim Hortons Field. The winner will go on to the Canadian Premier League final. Like I said, we'll try to show you that Jimo goal because it was special that a 16-year-old comes onto the field and sends the game into extra time. Atletico Ottawa, I say that they survived. They were good on the day, but another time where they're in control of matches, but it feels like the emergency brake is on a little bit.
Yeah.
Goals come on a penalty. Goals come on an Olympico where I think that it was poorly defended. So what do you make of this performance by Atletico Ottawa and the way the game played out?
Not only that, Wheels, it's just the way that they've ended the season, right? When you play Vancouver and it's 0-0, but look at the last 5-6 matches that they played. They would go up a goal, and then the team that they played, no matter who it was, would go and equalize. Like, that was the rhythm, and that's how they played the last bit of the season. I look at this is a win that they needed, though. Even though it came with a 2-2 draw and they win in pens, this team assembled so that they can go and play in games for next week, the semifinals, and maybe play for a North Star Cup. So I think Carlos Gonzalez, as much as it's a close call, that's one of those situations, Jim, where he's like, we're finally there. They have everything to play for next week.
Yeah, look, it was never going to be an easy match against York. I thought York tactically were very good today. They were coming off a high. They had a little bit of motivation, obviously, from what Carlos was saying, and they had a point to prove. And I thought at times throughout that match, they looked decent. They were organized, disciplined, moved the ball well, created some opportunities. But at the end of the day, for Ottawa, it's playoff football. It's not always going to be beautiful football. It's about getting results and getting to that next round. They've got the quality, they've got the players, but now it's, can you win now against Forge? Can you win that match to get you into the final? And you're going to see you're going to be testing characters now on that Ottawa side to see how far this team can go.
I kind of feel like that character was tested here today. Like the way that they won it, it was wild. It got nervous. We'll show you the GMO goal because oftentimes when goals are scored late like this, Jimmy, it kind of favors the team that scored late heading into extra time. The fact that they were able to score so quickly. Reminder, this is a 16-year-old coming on.
Subbed on.
What a great goal in such a big moment of the game, like well into the time added on and teenage dreams. It's just amazing.
He's brave and he already saved them. That being York United earlier in the season and that 1-0 win at home at York Lions Stadium. But special kid, but to be 16, to get subbed on into this match, dying minutes. Most players don't even put themselves in that challenge. It's 93 plus or 90 plus 2, and he goes and puts himself in that position to strike it and ends up here. No keeper saving that top corner.
I think this is the way that Carlos wants to take the team forward. It doesn't always look great, but they're tough to beat. And they showed character here today. Let's go back to TD Place in Ottawa, Ontario, and hear from our very own Christian Jack and his thoughts on the Atletico Ottawa victory in the penalty shootouts.
And so let the record books tell us, Sunday, October the 27th, 2024, when the first ever Canadian Premier League shootout took place right here on this pitch in the nation's capital as Atletico Ottawa move on to the Canadian Premier League semi-finals and knock out their rivals, York United. What a Canadian Premier League classic we had. 2 goals in normal time, 1 near the end, 2 goals in extra time, and in the end, it was separated on a shootout. This was a massive day for this city and this club. Ultimately, York United played their role. They were David against Goliath, according to themselves. In the end, Goliath moved on, and they simply had to. Not only for Carlos Gonzalez and their players, but for this capital city in terms of this club and what they needed to go forward in the playoffs. It's been 2 years this week since they last played a playoff game here in the 2022 final. They got beat that night comprehensively by Forge. This was a super team that won the winter, and now they have to show they can win the season. Ultimately, going forward, they now move on to the semi-finals, and they finally have a playoff victory where they needed to move forward and beat the team like York United. So what does that mean? Well, suddenly now they have belief. This, in the end, was an enormous day for them. York United, you feel for Mo Babuli, they will have another day in the playoffs. But this, for Atletico Ottawa, was a pivotal judgment day. Carlos Gonzalez said at the start of the season, when he wanted to temper expectations, this will not be a Disney movie. In the end, what we saw here tonight was absolutely a movie. They now move on to semi-finals next week, where they'll believe they can go on and contend for the North Star Cup.
Thanks, KJ. You mentioned the Disney movie. I want to break down maybe some Mickey Mouse defending on the Olympico that was scored by Ollie Bassett. Oftentimes when the Olympicos are scored, it's because of bad goalkeeping. I'm not sure where you want to point the fingers of blame on this one. Ollie Bassett gets the goal, but let's break it down a little bit, Jordan, what you saw.
Yeah, there's a few places we want to start. Even I got the privilege to look at it with you, and it felt like old days with breaking down goals. But there's a few things that you point out. We just want to pause it there. So when you look at this goal, when we go back to it struck by Ollie Bassett, the first thing that needs to be mentioned is the fact that he's an in-swinger. So the right foot, he's swinging in near post. So when you look at Vincenzini and his body positioning, he should be a bit further there, like towards the line, because the ball could come in there. You have Mo Babuli, that's there, he's the first post. You have Leon, that's here, and then you have Cordoba right there. Jimmy, just talk to us about Cordoba's role right in the middle and the fact that he gets left and what that does in the body positioning of Leon and Mo Babuli.
Can we rewind that a little further back to see the starting positions?
Just the start of the corner.
Right here.
Now look, for me, Leon, you can see his number. You can see Mo Babuli's number as well. Mo Babuli starts taking a couple steps to his left. As Aparicio starts coming forward, if Leon is actually reading the play and seeing the attackers and seeing the ball, he can actually get his arm up across Manny Aparicio's chest. Last second, you'll see Mobabuli look out of the corner of his eye. He feels he's got to take a couple steps this way. So now Cordova's lost his man. Leon hasn't blocked Aparicio, and Mobabuli's taken 2 steps up, which allows this big space to open up for that in-swinger. You know it's an in-swinger. Come in tighter. If it's an out-swinger, you can force yourself out a little bit more. So those 3 there, with Cordova losing his man, Leon not opening up and seeing the big picture, and then Mobabuli taking his steps to the left, that's where they end up getting punished with that.
We got to run. But, like, there's one player making a near-post run. How does that go in?
Yeah. But he affects 3 players.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. That ball can never go in a scenario like that. And at the end of the day, you know, no matter how you slice it, it costs York United. Maybe not that specific moment, but part of the big picture in terms of the game. York United lose to Atletico Ottawa. They move on. A very cool moment seeing John Herdman supporting his son, Jay Herdman. You know, a proud moment, a frustrating year for Herdman with TFC, but Jay has joined Cavalry and made that group a better team. So a special moment for the Herdman family to celebrate tonight. We'll go back to Tim Hortons Field next, joined by Oliver Platt.
I wanna run back to you. All I wanna do is run back to you and make my dreams come true. The only thing I ever do is run right back to you.
When the stakes are high, only the TELUS 5G network delivers.
Yeah.
This one is for you.
This ultimate mouth-watering moment is brought to you by the big, bold, ultimate taste of Ultimate Chicken Hot Dogs, only from Maple Lodge Farms.
At CIBC, we know that nothing feeds ambition like momentum. So no matter what your goals are, from starting a business to sending money back home, a conversation with us about your goals can set everything in motion. And once that ball of possibilities gets rolling, watch out, world.
Next Saturday, it's official. Forge will host Atletico Ottawa, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. The winner of this semifinal match will go on to take on Cavalry in Calgary, Alberta, November 9th, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. local time. Let's go back to Tim Hortons Field, and we're joined by Oliver Platt, who took in tonight's festivities down there in Hamilton, Ontario. Forge supporters leave disappointed, but they get another home match next weekend. Ollie, how much of a shock and a surprise is this that Forge will be hosting yet again next week?
Yeah, it's a shock in the sense that we know the record, obviously, between Forge and Cavalry in the playoffs. Cavalry have never won a playoff game against Forge until today. I have to say I'm not totally stunned by the result based on what I've seen from these teams over the past few weeks, though. I think Cavalry have been really growing to this moment over the past few weeks, over the past few games. They have so many players who are just in top form right now. And I'm not sure the same can quite be said over the past few weeks about Forge. We know that when it gets to this time of year, it's all about peaking at the right time. It's all about that timing. And I just had a feeling coming into this one with the way that Tobias Waszewski is playing in particular, that's been the biggest factor for Cavalry. That maybe one team was just in a little bit of a better moment than the other, and I think we saw a bit of that at least in the first half.
Yeah, come playoff football though, like some teams just like feel the vibes, right? They get into a good state of mind, some decent form, they end up finding solutions, and they can go on a bit of a run here. We were just discussing this. I think that was an important win psychologically for Atletico Ottawa earlier today. Meanwhile, Forge just seemed a little bit flat to me. Correct me if I'm wrong. You were there in the stadium here today. For the first time ever, they've lost 3 games in a row. So how does that factor in terms of the way that you project or look at the game next weekend?
Yeah, I think the big one for me, and I heard you guys talking about it, I asked Bobby Smoniotis about it, is that striker position for Forge. I think it's really having an effect on the way they play now. I don't think they necessarily need someone to come in and be the hero and score a load of goals, but they do need someone who kind of understands the position and what Forge needs from that particular player. And I think when you talk about, you know, the lack of kind of momentum from Forge in this game and in this performance, a lot of it came from the fact that whenever the ball was going forwards, they didn't really have a centre forward who was winning battles or even anticipating where the battles would be. And it was too easy in a day for the Cavalry centre-back. So when you're playing at home in a game like this, and a game next weekend, where I'm sure Atletico Ottawa will be very methodical and quite cautious in their approach, you need that reference point, right? You need that guy who's going to get you up the pitch and allow, you know, other players to come into the play and play off of him. And I think Nana Ampoma struggled to bring that tonight. He's not a natural striker. He's a very good winger. And I'm not sure right now who the solution is for Forge at that position.
It's funny how things work in this game because Forge go on and clinch the Canadian Premier League Shield. Atletico Ottawa's there watching the trophy presentation. They go on and beat Forge that day 2-0. In a game that Jordan Wilson said it's as good as he's seen Atletico Ottawa play all season. They found a way today, Ollie. I just wonder whether there's a framework, a game model, something that they picked up and used last time out just 2 weeks ago that they can bring forward with them against Forge next weekend.
Well, there are better sides in the past few weeks than they have been in the previous few before that. There's no question, right? Like, I think the changes they made to try and play almost Aparicio and Bassett as the 2-8s with 2 forwards in front of them, it's just struck a much better balance than I think they were finding when they were playing in that 5-4-1 with Del Campo or Salter up front on his own. So I don't think it's been perfect from Atletico Ottawa. I don't think they're quite in the form, quite the threat that they hoped they would be at this stage of the season. But you come here away from home to play against Forge again. You're not afraid to sit in a little bit deeper, play on the break, and when you've got weapons like Del Campo, like Tabla, Aparicio, Bassett, the wingbacks, no matter if they're in form or not, like, these are difference-making players. So I think they'll quite like this matchup, and it should be a really, really fun game next weekend.
Good stuff, Ollie. Thank you for this. Much appreciated. Oliver Platt joining us from Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. He brings up a good point, Jimmy, and there's different horses for different courses. And I think that maybe Atletico Ottawa's style might actually suit them playing away from home a little bit more than playing at home where they're supposed to be on their front foot. Could this work out for them?
I think it will. I think they're going to be very comfortable going into this match and confident as well in their own ability. And Ollie's right in what he's saying. They do have some terrific players. They have players that can unlock defenses, and they're going to get chances within this match. But for me, I hope that they don't go in there being a little bit too conservative, dropping off, waiting for Forge to come at you. I liked what Cavalry did today, where they were a little bit on the front foot. They were closing down quite higher up on the pitch, and every time they did get it, they wanted to go forward. So I'm hoping Ottawa's watched this game tape and how Cavalry was playing, and then add a few of their own ingredients to make sure that they get a good result against Forge.
Interesting.
In 270 minutes of football, Forge haven't scored a goal.
Yeah.
Like, you're looking at 3 games now, four goals, and they haven't scored. They've seemed threatening because crosses were going in and Becker squares it to Olabi Belleru, or this Ampoma gets on a little bit. Of course, they were close to getting those chances. But if I'm Atletico Ottawa, that is what I'm thinking about for the next 6 days. They haven't scored. We can absorb a little bit of pressure. We have players that can go forward. We just beat York. Even though it went into extra time and went into pens, they still did enough to earn a penalty in regular time and to get themselves in those situations. I think this matchup next week could favor Atletico Ottawa if they know that they're going to suffer a little bit, but they have to go forward. They can't have that emergency break up. They have to go and press at the right time.
This is a new season. Look, up until 2 weeks ago, Forge had lost 1 home match all season. That's including playing MLS sides. Now they've lost 2 games in a row at Tim Hortons Field, and all bets are off next weekend. It's Forge, it's Atletico Ottawa playing for a berth in the Canadian Premier League final. The Canadian women's team was back in action for the first time since the Olympics on Friday against Spain. Jordan Wilson took in the match, and we'll break it down. I want comprehensive player reviews and ratings.
I'm ready.
We're doing that next here on Match Night.
This isn't your first time flying to show support for your team, but it is the first time you use the wrong kind of paint.
It says here you could try mayonnaise.
WestJet, where your story takes off.
This one is for you.
Tony Bet. At Tony Bet, get treated like a VIP. Bet on live games with odds on all sorts of sports. That's what you get when you bet with Tony Bet.
Greetings from southwest Spain, where a new era begins for the world champions and the former Olympic gold medalists, as Canada test themselves against mighty Spain. Looking for the shot, it's decent, it's a fine save from Sheridan. Ball was out, it's going to come to Becky, thinking about chipping the keeper, and it's just wide in the end. Oh, off the bar, falls into the grateful hands of Sheridan. Charges down, takes her own pass, and this is possibilities here. And the ball is in the back of the net. What a remarkable turnaround. Almost the first touch for Marie-Yasmin Alidou. Inside the fullback again. They're queuing up. And there's the equaliser.
This is O Canada, O Baby, presented by CIBC, and that was the voice of Nigel Reid, part of our match call right here on One Soccer. Canada won, Spain won in a friendly on Friday night. Jordan Wilson was part of our studio coverage for the match as well. Good goal to see. Marie-Yasmin Alidou scores for Canada. A little bit of an onslaught late by Spain, and obviously Canada conceded a late equalizer. What were your highlights in terms of top performances within the Canadian side?
Well, we have to mention that Alidou came off the bench 3 minutes in. This is like one of her first touches in the match. She does hit that sweetly. Evelyn Vienne deserves a lot of credit to just make that run, that pressure that she applies on the center back. Right here, this is what you want from your number 9, just that work to do. But look, most people are maybe dribble. She plays it big. Yasmin Alidou just puts that in the corner. 19 yards out, touch, great hit. The biggest thing that stood out to me in this match, though, is that Canada, even though Spain were very methodical on the ball, they suffered. Like, they were okay absorbing and taking, and those defenders, we'll just talk about the four. Sheridan, Jade Rose, Buchanan, Vanessa Gilles, like, those players really kept Canada in this match. The fact that they're able to just absorb that pressure and really keep the team and be the backbone. And then for me, it was a day where you're playing in Spain and they were just a team that keeps the ball. And Canada sometimes were chasing a bit of shadows and looking at a few numbers, but they withstood it. And I feel like that's what they need to do to continue to play with the best in the world.
I mean, on paper, this is a good result against one of the top sides in world football. But when you look at it, like, the issue here is just the cloud hanging over this team right now, with the head coaching situation very much up in the air. Like, a player like Alidou who's been on the outside, kind of looking in, looking for opportunity, but there's no guarantee that that goal under a kind of an interim or temporary manager means anything at all. So until that situation is resolved, I feel like, hey, people love seeing them play. Yeah. The players love getting together and being part of this program, but you're kind of in neutral, aren't you?
A change needs to be made sooner rather than later. Like, you're looking at these players play, and how much can they really grow and step up if there's still a cloud over who is leading them and who's leading the charge. I think Andy Spence going in and still selecting a team, and you're still under Bev Priestman and under the way that she taught and the way that she moved. You need someone with a clear vision that knows how they're going to play. And maybe someone like the 29-year-old Aladu gets a different lease on life, gets someone new to look at them. As a player, you don't want a situation where the number 2 that was a former number 1, they still have their same ideas that they're placing on a team. You want someone fresh to come in and give a new perspective.
But it was a good performance with Aladu as well. And her nickname, by the way, is Mimi.
Mimi.
Right? But, you know, she's performed well at club football and now playing at the international. She's had her differences over the years, maybe playing in a different role than what she should have been playing, that attack and midfield role. And it was good to see her get on the score sheet and score a goal. So hopefully she'll continue being in this national team squad.
I just think there's a curiosity of, like, what else can be applied to this group? Because you're right, like the back 3 are top class players, stable, but what kind of platform that they can provide for this team to take that next step? And right now, we just simply will not have the answer. When it comes to the men's national team, well, the team captain is now part of fresh transfer rumors as Florian Plettenberg, German reporter, has come out and reports that Manchester United has concrete interest in Alphonso Davies. I'll say this as a Manchester United supporter, they haven't played with a left back since last January. They don't have a proper left back. So a position of interest, a team that's on a little bit of a budget right now, just in terms of what they can spend, and a player who will be available on the free. I mean, a big contract will be coming Alphonso Davies' way, but seems like there could be a fit there. What do you make of the latest rumor, Jimmy?
I think he probably watched the game today. and probably
saw them robbed by
I'm not
VAR?
going.
Is that what you're talking about?
No, listen, for me, he's got a decision to make where he wants to go. If he's got interest from Man United, that's fantastic, one of the biggest clubs in the world, but I don't think he's going to be jumping the gun at anything just yet until something that he wants to do and where he wants to go. And then he's got to look at, is there going to be big changes with Man United? What's the plan for Manchester United? What players are you looking to bring in? I think there's a lot of questions that are going to be asked.
There's certain clubs across world football, Jimmy, like it's very hard to turn down. If Real Madrid comes after you, Barcelona, despite their struggles over the last decade, and I'm well aware of it, it's very difficult to turn down arguably the most popular club in world football today.
Outside of that, Wiz, I agree with you, even though being an Arsenal fan, I agree with you, but I think it's just the Premier League. Like the pay, the most watched league in the world.
The pressure?
Everything about it would appeal to a mid-20-year-old Alphonso Davies playing left back and playing week in and week out.
Okay, so let me ask you this. You're at Bayern Munich. You've won a Champions League. You're in Champions League every single year. You're fighting for titles. You're going to go to Manchester United. And what if you're not in Champions League? What if you're not fighting for a title and you become a mid-table or eighth-place team?
I'll throw it back at you.
Just because it's a name, Manchester United?
No, I'm not saying just for the name. I'm saying that all that comes with. You bring up a big point about not playing Champions League football, but I still think the magnitude of the club is intriguing. I think also for someone like Alphonso Davies, it's fair to question that at Bayern, that's a place that he knows that is home. But sometimes home gets a bit stale, and you want to try something new. I'm just saying that Manchester United might be an intriguing offer.
It might be, but at the end of the day, he wants to go to a team that's going to compete and win trophies. That's what he wants.
And that's
so
what,
if they're not going to spend on an awful lot of money on other players, as you just said, financially, can they do it? He's going to go there, and then what? You're not fighting for a Champions League spot. You're not fighting for a Premier League. What are you going there for? Just to play because you got the crest
You're
on your
absolutely
chest?
right. They need to prove to him that that's a place
100%.
that he wants to go. With that being said, based on what people have said at Bayern Munich about Davies and his agent and his representation, I think that's gone. I think Bayern Munich's in the rearview mirror. He's looking forward. And it's for clubs like Manchester United to show that this is the place where he needs to be. I would love to see Alphonso Davies playing for the biggest club in world football.
I don't know about that, guys.
One nation every I didn't say best, Jimmy. I said biggest. One nation every Tuesday with Jordan Wilson and Andy Petrillo right here on One Soccer. Best and worst of the week is coming up. And speaking of best performances, what about Ryan Gauld in the play-in game against Portland? 3 goals and assist. Unbelievable performance. They take on LAFC tonight. Best and worst is coming up next right here on Match Night.
Canadian soccer fans, we're different. We cheer on the Reds, while cheering out our motherlands and each other's lands. Soccer is in our hearts. Our roots are on display. Not to divide, but to unite. Because to us, soccer's more than just a game. It's who we are. From coast to coast to coast, it connects us all. Cheers to us. Cheers to the game.
This ultimate mouth-watering moment is brought to you by the big, bold, ultimate taste of Ultimate Chicken Hot Dogs. Only from Maple Lodge Farms.
At CIBC, we know that nothing feeds ambition like momentum. So no matter what your goals are, from starting a business to sending money back home, a conversation with us about your goals can set everything in motion. And once that ball of possibilities gets rolling, watch out, world.
Gatorade, with electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat, carbs to help fuel your working muscles, and fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing. Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
Degree, 72-hour non-stop protection. Antiperspirant with motion sense. Tested to the limit. Degree, keeps working when others stop.
Welcome back to Match Night. Time for best or worst. Wheeler, Wilson, Brennan with you. Alistair Johnston, what a moment. First time ever wore the captain's armband for Celtic today, a legendary club in Celtic, and he scored a goal in a performance against Motherwell as well. What an honor.
Oh, are you kidding me? For
my
Celtic?
God.
That was my team that I supported when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It was Glasgow Celtic. And so for him to be captain of that club is fantastic. It's great to see. And I'm telling you what, he'll be the captain for a very long time with that team.
As long as he stays there.
But I think he's got to get a move. I think he's got to move. I think he's got to move.
Wild to think
There's
about.
no player that reflects a club that he plays for more than Alistair Johnston on Celtic. It just seems like a perfect match.
He came in like that Tasmanian devil, but it's elevated now too. He's just, you saw him at Copa as well. He loves a tackle, leaves his leg in.
Yeah.
He's a dog, man.
He'll get a big move.
Aye. Jonathan David, midweek in the Champions League, this guy is just automatic. The post-match coverage of the Lille game, this guy, I love the reporters having to deal with this when it goes on. People are offended. He's just having a good time. Jonathan David scores a brace. They come from behind and beat Atletico Madrid 3-1. Lille are rolling in the Champions League. What would you do to this guy, Jimmy? You're doing a live hit, and this is going on in the background.
Yeah, you're socking him.
Yeah.
No, 100%. There's a
Another man's shirt on your own.
This is what does it.
There's a hook coming somewhere.
Oh, man.
I'm working for the ribs.
And you know he's been watching the game. He's sweating. That shirt does not smell good.
And you know he's spitting on you as he's talking as
well.
100%. Anyways, the reporter, good sport right there. I love Jose Mourinho, okay? This guy is absolute box office. As long as you don't mind watching his team play, because they're dreadful to watch at times. Look at this quote. About his time with Manchester United, he still thinks he can get a Premier League title when City has one stripped away. But the best thing is, he says, then they have to pay me the bonus that comes along with it. Then give me the medal. He just wants the bonus money.
This guy's TV
the
gold,
best.
man, a special one. You love it. Look at his face here. Look at this. This says it all. This is who he is. Just a cheeky guy. Man.
I'd love how he asked for the bonus first.
Yes.
Give me the bonus, and then I'll take the...
He's smart. Fenerbahce United played to a 1-1 draw, and he got sent off in the game, and he said the referee was watching the non-penalty call in the box, and him at the same time. He was a genius. The best of the night of the three, Vancouver Whitecaps, Portland Timbers for Ryan Gauld was right there. Scored 3 times in a 5-1 victory, 4 goal interventions. That's only happened by a player 3 times in MLS playoff history. The 3 players, Landon Donovan, Sebastian Giovinco, and now Ryan Gauld.
This right here, I gotta tee up Jimmy because this is a Jimmy Brennan men's league finish. Like the chest, and he's saying, "Oh, the keeper's off his line, take that."
Yeah.
This is a Jimmy. This
You got that in your locker?
I'm telling you now.
Look.
That is something that you do on a training pitch for a little bit of fun.
100%.
And you do that because you're going to annoy the goalkeepers.
Yeah.
But to have the confidence to do that in a game like that, where you're just chesting it, easy little volley over top of the keeper, that's crazy.
It's also, I'm sure as well, the player knowing the Sky's connection, just knowing, have that. Like, chipped it up to him, to his chest in the box, and baited him.
Yeah.
Baited him saying, go take it. He chested it. I said, no, he's not going to do it. And just little laces.
But when he did that as well, you could see the rest of the players just started laughing. But the White was going, shaking his hands, going, that's ridiculous.
Love that.
Top player. We wish the Whitecaps the best of luck. They play their nemesis, like their bogey team, LAFC, in the playoffs, starting tonight. In the Canadian Premier League, spin back to Wednesday night at York Lions Stadium. York United took the lead. This guy with the Roman candles, the fireworks, is a riot. Fired them off. They starts firing them on the field. And the guys beside him are the best. They're like, fire it up, dude. What are you doing firing these onto the field?
I think the funniest moment for me, because we were calling that match, is when the guy passed him the firework. Yeah. He didn't realize it was lit. So he's kind of having a conversation, and it's going out, and you can see the players all moving. And then he's still waving it around like he didn't know what was going on.
Oh, hilarious. By the way, that's my kid's favorite part about going to the games, like the fireworks going up. But aim up, not on the field, everyone. The worst of the week, and no question about this, Liam Miller out for the season with an ACL. The Hull City Canada winger got off to a real good start to the season, set up the match winner against Panama. It's a tough one, Jimmy, for Liam. He's been on a really good form.
No, it is, and you feel for him because he had such great momentum with the men's national team, playing some fantastic football, ended up getting a great move to Hull City. You could see he was enjoying his football, and then when that happens and knowing that he's up for a season now, it's terrible to see. You don't wish that upon anybody.
He was moving around different clubs. He finally found a place that, for me, he was playing his best football. Started the season on fire. Yeah, to go out and be out for such a long time, 9-10 months with ACL, it's definitely painful.
Yeah, we wish him all the best in his recovery. This is some good news. After breaking his leg in the summer, Tajon Buchanan back in full training.
Love to see it.
The time is, I don't know if the Suriname games are going to come too soon on the road to recovery, but certainly this is great news to see him.
No, this is great news that he's coming back into it. You just hope that he can get his fitness levels up quick to match the rest of the team, because it's always difficult when you're out for a long time. A team goes through a preseason, they start the season, and now you're playing catch up. So it's going to be down to him now to get himself where his level should be, and then obviously contribute to the team, because again, they're going to be challenging for Serie A.
Yeah, it's not just about Canada, it's about building his club career as well.
Exactly.
By the way, today, Inter 4, Juve 4. What went on there? Absolutely wild. We'll wrap up tonight's show next. Warshevsky, the star man in Hamilton today. Cavalry will be hosting the Canadian Premier League final November 9th in Calgary, Alberta.
Tony Bet.
At Tony Bet, get treated like a VIP. Bet on live games with odds on all sorts of sports. That's what you get when you bet with
Tony Bet.
This isn't your first time flying to show support for your team, but it is the first time you use the wrong kind of paint.
It says here you could try mayonnaise.
WestJet, where your story takes off.
I wanna run back to you. All I wanna do is run back to you and make my dreams come true. You're the thing I
When the stakes are high, only the TELUS 5G network delivers.
Gatorade. With electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat. Carbs to help fuel your working muscles. And fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing. Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
Canadian soccer fans, we're different. We cheer on the Reds while cheering out our motherlands and each other's lands. Soccer is in our hearts. Our roots are on display. Not to divide, but to unite. Because to us, soccer's more than just a game. It's who we are. From coast to coast to coast, it connects us all. Cheers to us. Cheers to the game.
Degree, 72-hour non-stop protection. Antiperspirant with motion sense. Tested to the limit. Degree, keeps working when others stop.
I don't even know if I can do this segment with a straight face after the conversation between the commercial break.
Save it to after. Come on.
This is the final score presented by Tony Bet. Here's a reminder of how things finished up on the final day of the Canadian Premier. Well, the Canadian Premier League playoffs. Never mind. Let's do some rapid fire to finish the show here, okay? Rapid fire. We'll do some soccer stories. We'll do some Halloween stories. Here we go. MLS moving potentially to a winter calendar. Good idea or bad idea?
I don't love change. I'll just say that.
Jim?
Yeah. Keep it the way it is.
I think it works for every other market unless you're maybe Canadian.
Yeah.
Well,
Toronto, Montreal, Minnesota, tough.
How was Toronto, Montreal, Minnesota, New York? How are you going to play in the winter?
Yes.
Chicago.
Someone needs to explain that to me, what that actually looks like. Best and worst Halloween candy. You have a favorite Halloween candy? Trick-or-treating Thursday?
I hate those.
Yeah.
Rockets?
Not great.
What are they called, though?
Those are the small
called
little
the
circle
Rockets.
candies.
It's like
rockets.
medicine. What is that?
Yeah, they're terrible.
Yeah. What's the best? You know what I like? I like a good Aero bar.
That's decent.
That's like the Aero bar.
But
Jim?
like Kit Kat's kind of hit.
Bag of chips.
Bag of chips.
What chips you got? What do you got? Regular?
Regular. Plain.
Percentage chance that the Whitecaps advance past LAFC, Jimmy? Percentage chance? 0.
Yeah, not
Gotta
great
give them
chances.
some kind of
20. 20.
20?
I'm at 20.
20%. 25%.
Ah, there it is. You're a believer.
Recovered.
They can do it.
25.
Yeah.
He believes.
Your mind was on chips. Zero trans fats.
He said
That's
plain.
what it
I
was.
thought you were going to come with like a sour cream or something.
What about
just
you?
plain.
What are you giving?
Chips?
How much chance? Not
No,
chips.
I said 20.
20?
Yeah.
Okay. This is why it made me very difficult to start this segment. The best Halloween movie.
I was like, what is
And
this?
so I said Halloween. And George's like, no, Halloween movie? You didn't even know the movie Halloween.
I had a
Michael
little bit of a moment.
Myers.
We've been working for like 7 hours.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
I had a moment, everyone. But yeah.
Do you have a favorite Halloween movie?
But I didn't know there was like 3 or 4.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay.
Look at this
Okay,
guy.
there you go. Let's see, pick one. Do you have another scary movie that
None come
you
to
prefer?
mind.
Okay.
At home, let me know.
Best Halloween costume. Everyone likes that Australian breakdancer this year.
I was going to say Ninja Turtle, man. I love that.
Yeah, okay. Do you have one, Jimmy?
Yeah, pirate.
A pirate.
You would.
The most impressive individual in the Canadian Premier League playoffs so
Easy.
far.
Orszewski.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
This is a good one. Are trick-or-treaters welcome at your house, Jim Brennan?
No.
No?
It's crazy now because we made friends on the street. So now I can't even turn off the lights. Like, they know we're home. So I'm just like, we're screwed. I got to go get candy now.
Turn the lights off, draw the blinds. And then put a sign that says,
But then the car's on the driveway. Like, they know.
Or leave the candy in a bowl outside.
No, you leave a sign saying, I left the candy at my neighbor's. Just point an arrow and just put it on them. And then you can go out for dinner with the missus.
Ah, that's a good plan.
Or take the boy out.
That's a good
Just
plan.
say, I gave all my candy to the neighbor. Go to their door. They'll give you double. And just see what their faces look like. A great day. It was a great day in the Canadian Premier League playoffs. What a wild game it turned out to be. The first half, like, slow to launch, but man, for the first time in Canadian Premier League history, a game went to penalties, and Atletico Ottawa get past York United. And in Hamilton, Ontario, the ambitious city, it was Cavalry showed a little bit more bite. Tobias Warshevsky's goal in the 27th minute separated these sides. They will host the CPL Finals in 2 weeks' time. Next weekend, join us for Forge and Atletico Ottawa for a berth in the CPL Final. On behalf of Jordan and Jimmy, I'm Wheels. This has been Match Night right here on One Soccer.